Hello again, everybody. Jump cuts are plenty on this one, right? So I found the cards I was looking for. But first of all, good news. I got in contact with the guys who did SOG Universe to talk about how I hadn't received my D2 card. And very kindly, they said they apologised. Obviously mix-ups at the moment. They said they will ship it out tomorrow along with some other pre-release stuff, some promo stuff, which hasn't gone available yet or can't go available. In other words, I'm going to get some stuff which hopefully will be quite rare. Again, fantastic service from them. They're not even that I'm aware of. They're not even at their stations at the moment. They're at a convention at the moment, a gaming convention where they're running games for people, teaching them how to play the game, obviously selling these wonderful sets off and stuff like that. So again, I can't say anything but praise for these guys. I got in touch with them, very polite message, just let you know it's come through, still safe stand, just didn't receive this card. They were like, so sorry about that mistake. They were apologising plenty. Absolutely fantastic service from these guys. So if you are in America, you ever get a chance to go to one of their events, I would recommend it. I would go myself at the drop of a hat if I were in America. Unfortunately, I'm not. I might have to try and run my own events here. I do have enough cards now, to be fair. I've got 6 decks from this one, plus 12 decks from the last one. I've got more than enough to run my own events, so you never know, I might do. Which leads on to these, actually. It's not very long on this little bit. I did find these cards, I put them in the wrong place, my own fault. So, more promo cards came with this one. I got more spectacle cards, so another Distract the Ref, and another Got My Back, perfectly on. I would just say add it to your hand and shuffle, doesn't have the extra yaw on it, so it's probably just a printing error. And then these were the ones I was looking for, was the title belts. LFF tag team title belts. These ones you don't add to your deck as such, you basically are entrance cards, you just put them to one side. At the start of your match, draw 2 cards. If you lose the match by pin, submission, or special finish, your opponent wins the card. So, championship title matches can do that. Absolutely not a problem to run something like that as well. Got the mats, got the cards, everything. Maybe do something in Britain for that soon. And then this one, the LFF Heavyweight Title Belt entrance card. At the start of the match, choose one skill, strike, grapple, or submission. The chosen skills +2. And again, if you lose the match, you pass it over. But not by count out or by DQ, which is, of course, the classic way. Now, obviously, I'm not the only one to get these cards. There are other people back to these levels, so there are other people with those cards. I'm probably never, ever going to run into them because, while I'm guessing there are other people in Britain who've backed it, I've no idea where they are. Shout out on the YouTube comments if you are watching this on that front. Right, so these are the special rules that came with the other mats, like the Psycho rules and everything. These are the stipulations for it, so these are basically just your standard crowd meter cards. So underneath this one is the cards of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then these are the stipulations for the match. So for Psycho rules, start your match before the bell rings, search your deck for 3 cards, put them on top of your deck. Max hand size is 10. No disqualifications or countouts. There you go. This is the main event match, so I'm guessing we use this when we're using title belts. That's the level 5, but it's on there, so that's just +6 to finish rolls. I do believe that's obviously only going to be opening these absolutely fresh on here, if that matters to anybody. Yeah, so, it actually looks like there's different, it goes up for each one, so these are the actual main event rules. So, +1 to breakout rolls. After a breakout, each player shuffles 1 card from the discard pile into their deck, so they're getting some cards back. Then start at the level 1, I'm guessing is this. Oh no, they're actually different for each one. That's interesting. I didn't think they would be that different. Bear with me just one moment. I'll put these into an order and we'll just quickly go through them. Right, then I'll hopefully bring the Psycho ones. Alright, so main event. Right, so level 1. So that's your basic standard main event card, it looks like. That's going to apply all the time. So +1 breakout and the discard pile reshuffle. Level 1, when the player rolls a high skill for a breakout roll, they break out. After a breakout, each player shuffles 2 cards from the discard pile into their deck. So it's that plus this. So it looks like each one, this shuffle from the discard pile into the deck, that's an ongoing effect which gets increased each breakout, basically, each kick out. So when you roll the highest skill for a breakout, they break out. So, for instance, in the case of, who have I got to hand? Liger will do. Liger, his highest one is Strike of 10. So you would roll that even if you've not... even if the roll was, say, higher than that, you would still break out with this special card, it seems. So on here, +1 finish rolls. High skill for breaker roll, they break out. After they break out, each player flips 3 cards, then shuffles 3 cards from the discard pile into their deck. So it's basically the same, except it's just adding to it on that one. So when a player rolls to the highest skill for the second or third roll, they break out. So it says they're getting more tired at this point, I'm guessing. After a breakout, each player shuffles 4 cards from the discard pile into that. That's fine. Finish cards are also follow-ups. So again, this point, the match has dragged on to this point. They're both weary. They're both knocking the absolute hell out of each other. So now their finishes are also follow-ups, so they don't have to have that extra step going on there. And then the final one for that one is +6 to all finish rolls. Finish cards are follow-ups, and then when a player rolls their high skill for the third breakout roll, they break out. So they're absolutely knackered by that point, but they might get in one last finisher. I guess by this point it's the equivalent of the third Tombstone Pile Driver, or the third Pedigree or something similar on that front. I just want to have a quick look at these. So I've not actually been through them, so I assume, to be fair, it would just be a case of the standard rule set is the standard rules is just basically kind of +1 to breakouts rolls, or +1 to finishes, shall I say? Sorry. So as each crowd level, as each finisher gets kicked out of, it's harder to kick out of the next one as such, and that applies to both sides. So that's the main stipulation. Finish rolls +10, +1. Right, so these are actually set. They're just getting the increase in that. That's fine. It's just to remind you of the actual thing on the stipulation. Fair enough. I will go through the others though, just quickly, just to see if they're the same or if they are different. So I'm going to say I've not been through these. These are exclusive with this Kickstarter. They match. So I say they match the mats. Ring of Fire on here, or I suppose Inferno match, or whatever you want to call it. So that one was really weirdly pushed. Number 5's at the top. Right. So these are just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Basic stipulation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Basic stipulation. When any number of cards are moved from a player's discard pile to any other location, they flip 1 card. Max hand side 8. No DQ. Special finish, player sets their opponent on fire when their opponent ends their turn with no cards in their deck. Right, so, I should explain that one. A DQ, basically, is where you have, I believe it's no cards in your hand, no cards in your deck. That's when by count out. DQ is if you're using, obviously, various cards like Hit with a Shovel, stuff like that. You wouldn't, even if they were stopped, you wouldn't lose the match on that one, which is quite good. Move from a player's discard pile to any other location, they flip 1 card. So it's actually costing you to move things from the discard location, I'm guessing from the outside the ring onto that one. Player sets their opponent on fire when their opponent ends their turn with no cards in their deck. No actual idea how that works in gameplay wise, setting them on fire. I don't think you'd physically do that in a gaming shop. I think most times they'd probably be frowned upon in all case doing that one. But yeah, so that's all the same, you just get the +1 on that, that's fine. That's fine. So it's mainly just the main event cards which seem to be different, which kind of makes sense because that's like a championship match on that one, and it's like a main event sort of thing. This one is Steel Cage. Stipulation: cards in the discard pile cannot be moved to any other location. That's quite cool. Although I would have thought that would have applied to that one, but I suppose with the fire one you can still go outside. It just hurts. Right, so can't move to any location. Max hand side 6, no disqualification. Special finish: player escapes the cage when they have no playable cards in hand and no cards in their deck. So in this case, you wouldn't win by pinfall finisher. By the actual pinfall, you'd have to escape the cage when they have no playable cards in their deck. Presumably, just use up every card in your hand or deck then on that one. But I mean, all finish rolls are +5, so. I'm guessing in this case it would be all finish rolls are +5, so you could still win via that. However, if someone had no cards in a hand or deck, they would escape an auto win, which means in that case, if they had no cards in a hand or deck, they get set on fire and auto lose. So you could still win by pinfall or submission. that's kind of cool. That does add quite a new mechanic on that. I do quite like that. Yeah, that's quite neat. I mean, obviously with the main event one, I guess the idea is that you absolutely knock the hell out of each other for X amount of time until there's nothing left either of you can do, and you're both just like throwing punch drunk in the middle of the ring, throwing things at each other. With the, I mean, I'm just briefly looking at the rules pamphlet here. Yeah, so you basically, the way you actually play the game, start the match, after the deck's been shuffled, players, they draw 3 cards on top of the deck. In order to see which player takes first turn, you do the skill roll as normal, so you do have 3 card hand to start with. Player rolls a higher number, draws 1 card and takes their turn. If it's a tie, so if you both roll the same symbol, we're not supposed to both roll the same symbol on the dice. If you both roll the dice and you end up with the same number, as I've said, it can be different for different people. You do a bump, basically. So both players roll the same number, they draw 1 card, and both players roll again. But you do get to, like I say, you draw 1 card and you roll again on that front. You're bumping, basically. So yeah, during your turn, you can do one of 2 things. You can play a card from your hand, which as we've shown are any of the ones that we've shown on there. You following the usual thing. You can only do a follow-up if there's a lead. You can do a finish if there's a follow-up or a lead. Although in this set, there does seem to be a hell of a lot of ones which are really good, which you can use finishes as follow-ups, which are quite cool. It will increase the pace even further. So yeah, you get the chance to stop an opponent's card. Obviously, that's outside of your turn, so you can do it any time as long as it's got the red symbol of stop on it. The other thing you can do in your turn is you can bury a card. So a player can choose to end their turn and not play any cards. When they do this, they must take 1 card from the discard pile and place it on the bottom of the deck. This act is known as burying 1 card in your discard pile. When a card is buried, it means it's taken from that location and placed on the bottom of that player's deck. So a player may only play 1 card on their turn, and regardless of if that card is a hit or stopped, turn roll occurs. So you can only ever play 1 card in your turn. Now, I'm guessing there are obviously cards which let you play additional cards, but I've not seen them, so maybe not. This means that if you play a card in your turn, your opponent is not able to stop it. After you perform the text on the card, you and your opponent both roll a die. When a die goes on to take the next turn. So it's all about like grabbing that initiative and everything, essentially. So, but again, that random element means you might not be able to do it. This is still good for that. I think I've rambled on quite enough, to be fair, on this front. But yeah, so that's basically how you do it. You've got 2 actions, like I said, 2 actions a turn. You can do one or the other of them. So you can either play the card from your hand or you can get one from the graveyard. So it does help that if you've not got any cards in your deck, you can still take one from the graveyard and put it back on there. It's not going to help much, but it might give you obviously that extra turn where you've not decked out, essentially. The way to win, you get pins and submissions. So when you hit your finish card, you roll the finishing roll. So basically, whoever played the finishing card rolls a dice. That's their number. Mentioned it before. Other person gets 3 chances to kick out of it. If they do, crowd meter goes up by 1. Increases the amount it takes to kick out next turn. It can be counted out, so another way to win is by count out. So if at the start of your turn you have 0 cards in your hand and 0 cards in the deck, you win the match by count out. I've never actually understood that way round of it, I must admit. I keep thinking that should be the other way around, that if you have 0 cards in your hand and 0 cards in your deck, you should lose by count out because you've got nothing else you can do. I don't know about that one. I don't play that rules as written, I must admit, in that one. I think that if you have no cards in your hand, no cards in your deck, it's a count out, you lose. But the rules as written is actually you win that way. So there you go. Additional rules in it. I mean, max hand size is 10. Maximum you can ever have is 10. It does make some of these, I suppose. Max hand size 6, for instance. No stipulation of max hand size. Max hand size 8. So Ring of Fire is 8. Steel Cage is 6. Does lower that on makes sense because it's actually restricting the ring itself. Obviously, if you go over 10, you have to immediately discard from your hand. Flipping cards goes from the top of the deck, for instance, top of the deck, into your discard pile. Again, deck construction, if you're looking to change things up, you can mix and match cards from different decks to try and fine-tune your competitor. Your deck must contain 30 cards, one of each number from 1 to 30. So, like I said, these decks, these ones here, you know, these ones in here and everything, these will be basically the same cards, the 1 to 30. The 28, 29, and 30, they're all individual finishers, unique. But 1 to 27, you can mix and match how you want. You can get Larry, you can get clotheslines, do this, that, and the other. And some cards work really well. For instance, like Paulie the Pigeon Picone. Paulie Picone, he has an ability. Someone did very well in the tournament with him recently, where he has an ability. The more punches are played, it gives his finishing move. I think it lets you search extra punches, and the more punch cards that are played, it does something extra to him. So basically, the deck was made up. It still had 1 to 30, and they were still uniquely thingy cards, but it had like punch, Superman punch, diving punch, and all this kind of stuff. And it just has that extra deck construction element to it, which most card games do, and which you would think in a game more about with the random element of it would be gone, and with the similar, you know, people might be worried from what I'm saying about how the cards are the same, that you'd lose that element of it, but you really don't. It's in there. It's all really good and in there. So yeah, that is the Super Show, Legendary Fighting Federation. That is SRG Universe. That's where their website, actually, srguniverse.com. You can buy them from there. I do not work for them. I'm already getting enough stuff from them, more than enough. I have no space for any more stuff, but you know, I will still keep buying. The next set that they do, I will no doubt be fully backing as well, and I'll probably get cards from this set in it, but that's not a problem. I really enjoy the game. I would say that if you're after a fast-paced but still tactical, random element, frantic card game, it's fantastic. It's brilliant for new players, like I say, because you can just get a box like this, 2-player starter deck, everything in it that you need to go for 2 players. And if you've never played a card game before in your life, you can easily pick up this one, because you don't need complicated strategies, you don't need expensive cards, you don't need this, that and the other, you just need what's in the box and the ability to have a laugh, because it will go against you at times. There will be times when everything's going fine, everything's brilliantly, you know, you're winning really quickly, and there will be other times when your opponent crushes you. They absolutely destroy you, and they'll do it really quickly in like 5 minutes just because they've got the cards, bam, bam, bam. And you just gotta have that sense of humour to take it, you know? It's really good. I will hopefully, so I've already got a couple of my friends into this, got my wife into this. She didn't really have a choice. Thank you very much, my love. If anyone's watching this, I've actually watched this far, thank you very much for finishing the video. I will hopefully see you soon, and I will hopefully get to play this against you. Thanks very much.